Hey everyone, thank you for watching. Today's video I'm really excited to do. I'm going to be talking about 5 of my favorite primer foundation combinations for the summer. So last year I posted a video just chatting about my favorite foundations to wear during the warmer months, and as I was thinking about that video, I thought it would be fun to now share not only some of my favorite foundations to wear, but what primers I wear with them, especially to kind of help bring out the longevity of them during these warmer months that I personally experience here in Iowa. So if you would like to hear about some of my favorite primer foundation combos, why don't we go ahead and jump into it. So this first combination here is one that really kind of kicked off this idea for me, because I mentioned this exact combo in a video recently, and I thought, well, that would be kind of fun to expand on this entire idea. And like I said, last year I just touched on favorite warm weather foundations. You know, why not we go a little bit further? I'm definitely someone who enjoys a face primer. I really don't skip it any day that I am wearing makeup, and I really do think it can make a difference with your foundation. You know, sometimes in the warmer months it's harder for me to reach for certain foundations because I'm afraid they won't last as long. I'm afraid that they'll break up quicker on me. But I still like the foundation. I still want to wear them. So if you find a good primer to pair it with, it can really make a big difference. I did want to say my skin type, I am normally very dry. During the warmer months, I do get a little bit more on the combo side, and I can get a little bit more like shinier in my T-zone, especially throughout the day. But that is kind of my skin type, so just wanted to say that first. But the first combo that I wanted to touch on is the Milk Hydro Grip Primer with the Dior Backstage Face and Body Foundation. So I actually purchased the Dior Backstage Face and Body Foundation because I heard a bunch of people raving about it. I have the shade 2.5N, and when I first started trying it, I was like, yeah, okay, like I think this is fine. Comes in this little squeeze tube here. It's definitely more of a light or light to medium coverage, which I do prefer that during the warmer months. Kind of outside of this time frame, I tend to prefer medium to full, but in the warmer months I like light to medium coverage. Generally in the summertime, I kind of cut back the amount of coverage I have on, the amount of products I put on my face even, because I do like to spend as much time as I can outdoors, because sometimes summer just seems so fleeting here in the Midwest, so I try to take full advantage of it. So I like the light to medium coverage during the warmer months. I knew that I wanted to be wearing the Dior, you know, quite a bit during the summer, but one con that I had with this is that I didn't feel like it lasted very well on my skin. I felt like after, you know, a few hours of wear, it was starting to break up. It was starting to, you know, just kind of like fade on my skin. It just wasn't looking great after a few hours of wear, and I thought, you know, especially if I'm going to be outside, I'm going to be on the heat, like this foundation is not going to last on me at all. But I really enjoy how it looks. It's very natural looking on my skin, which is my personal sweet spot for foundations. Sometimes I gear a little bit more like radiance or dewy because of my dry skin, but especially in the summer months too, I find that those foundations just break up on me too quickly. So again, I knew I would want to be wearing the Dior, but I was like, I just need to find a way to make this work for me, and the way I make it work is with the Milk Hydro Grip Primer. This was a primer that I did get sent to me in PR, but I did plan on purchasing this myself when it came out because I was very curious about it. It was supposed to be a gripping primer, so really holding on to your makeup, making it stay throughout the day, but it also said that it had hydrating properties in there. And again, with someone with dry skin, I was like, okay, this sounds very interesting. It's hydrating, yet it's going to make my makeup last, because sometimes when I think of makeup lasting, I think of a more mattifying primer or foundation, right? So I was like very curious about this one, and it took me a little bit to get a handle on this one. The best way, and I've said this before, but the best way that I have found to work with this primer is to apply it and really take the time to let it sink into the skin. Take like 5 to 7 minutes after you apply your primer, sit there, I don't know, do another part of your makeup step if you want to, do some crunches, I don't know, whatever it is that you want to do, but let the primer really sink in to your skin for a while and then go in with your foundation. I found when I was doing my foundation too quickly after the primer, which generally is what I do anyway, so it's kind of like a finicky product too, but I like it, especially with the right foundations. But if I was applying my foundation too quickly, it would pill up on my skin and it wouldn't look attractive at all, so no one wants that. But if I let it sink in and then pair it with a foundation, I definitely find, especially with the Dior that I've noticed breaking up on me quicker, this lasts. It really prolongs the wear of the Dior foundation which makes me so happy because again, it kind of grips onto your foundation. It doesn't let your makeup break up as quickly. Is someone mowing the lawn? Really? But this is a great combo, especially for the warm weather months. I'm so happy that I decided to pair these two together because I think this is a big win for me. So the combination that I have on my skin today is this Hello Fab Pores Be Gone Matte Primer from First Aid Beauty and the Colourpop No Filter Liquid Foundation. So this foundation I purchased from Colourpop a while back when it first released. I was really curious about their liquid foundations. I love trying out new foundations. You know, Colourpop's very affordable. So when this came out, I was like, definitely want to try that. You have this glass bottle here with a pump. Usually mine is very dirty. I did try to clean it up today because it was really dirty, let me tell you. And when I tried it, I was like, okay, I like it, but I don't necessarily think that I love it. Again, I didn't think this was a very long-lasting foundation. When I reviewed it on my channel, you know, I said I don't think I would wear this to something like a wedding where I'm gonna put my makeup on earlier in the day and want it to last all night, have it, you know, dance or last through like dancing or, you know, being outside or anything like that. Like, it's a nice foundation. I think it looks good on my skin. Kind of that medium coverage right in there. I think it's a natural finish, but it leans a little bit also on the dewy side for me. And I think that it actually said this is supposed to be more of a matte foundation, but I didn't really find that even on my dry skin. I felt like it was more natural with a hint of radiance to it. But my biggest con was, again, that I didn't feel like it would last very long on my skin. And I thought after a while, a lot of like my natural oils would start to show through and I'd feel like I'd want to powder my face a lot. But I ended up, not too long ago, I started trying this primer. I got sent a couple different primers from First Aid Beauty, and honestly, they are so nice. I really wanted to include a variety of different primers in here, but it was also really hard for me not to grab out their coconut smoothing primer. That one is really, really nice as well. Definitely recommend it. But truly, especially for the warm months, this foundation, the Pores Be Gone Matte Primer, is so nice. This works well with a majority of different foundations, but I do think that it works really nicely with the Colourpop, and I wanted to mention it because I do think that it helps prolong the makeup as well. I've definitely noticed when I wear this with the Colourpop, I feel like I can get more longevity out of the Colourpop before it starts to break down on my skin, which I do appreciate. I also really, really like that it does help mattify the skin. And again, I do have dry skin, but like I said, in the summer I can get a little bit more combo. So especially with this one, I focus it right in my T-zone, you know, like my cheeks here, my forehead, my chin, even my nose, just areas that I start to notice those oils coming out throughout the day, because this really just like, it really mattifies the skin. It shrinks the pores, which I really appreciate as well. And again, I feel like when you put this on, you can feel a little bit of stick with it. It's not super tacky. I wouldn't consider this a gripping primer like the Milk one, but you can still feel like a little bit of something here, and I feel like it does help extend the longevity of the foundation, which I really appreciate. So this is a fabulous primer. It's like I've really relied on this primer as we've gotten into the summer weather here in Iowa, but it's a great one to pair with the Colourpop, and again, this is the combo that I have on my face today. Next up, I wanted to include this combination because this can be something, it's kind of more of like shade matching, which can become kind of an issue in the summer months and then also the winter months too. You know, you go out and you purchase your favorite foundation, you find your right shade and you're like, yes, and then maybe you lose a tan or you gain a tan. I'm definitely someone who falls into that category. I get super, super pale in the winter unless I'm self-tanning, and then in the summertime, I'm just outside so much, you know, no matter how much SPF I'm using, I'm still getting, you know, a natural tan from being outside. And then it's like, oh no, now some of my winter foundation shades don't work for me. What do I do? So that is why I wanted to talk about this next combo, and that is using the Ofra Rays of Light Primer with the Cover FX Power Play Foundation. So Ofra recently came out with primers and they are both really nice. Again, this is another one that I could have included the other primer, the Northern Lights primer. That one is a really beautiful primer as well. Nice and pore filling, and it's also illuminating at the same time. And same with this one, it's not as pore filling as the Northern Lights, so if that's something you really need for your skin, I would definitely recommend that one. But it's illuminating. You can just get a little bit of shimmer in the bottle here, so you have a little bit of illumination, but it's also kind of more of this tinted. Ooh, there we go. It's kind of more of this tinted primer as well. So it almost gives you just like a little bit of boost of color to the skin. It's not super overwhelming. If your winter shade is 5 shades lighter than you now, I don't know if it would really work for you. But if you're just like slightly off, this gives a really nice, just kind of natural color to the skin that I think is really beautiful. So I was really excited to see them come out with this as well, especially for the warmer months, because I was like, man, there's some foundations that I really enjoy in my collection, but I can't wear them during the warmer months when I'm tan because my shade matching is, you know, so far off that it's not going to work. And so that's why I wanted to include it with my Cover FX Power Play, because I really like this foundation. This one is in a squeeze tube as well. My shade is P40. I picked this one up, I want to say it was like early spring or something like that. So still, you know, we didn't have any sunshine yet. Like, wasn't warm out in Iowa, and I was still pretty not as tan as I would get in the summer. And I went on to really enjoy this foundation. Kind of, again, just kind of hits my sweet spots in a lot of areas. The more of a medium coverage. I really like the natural finish to it. I just think it wears really well. Like, this is one where I don't have any issues with the wear time of it. I think that it looks really nice throughout the day, but it's like, oh, I would love to wear this right now because I think it's such a beautiful foundation, but the shade match is not the best for me. What do I do? So if I pair it with this one here from Ofra, I think that they make such a nice match. And then especially, it can still be just a little bit light, but especially if I, you know, have just a nice bronzer to kind of bronze up the skin too, I think that I can pull it off great. I think that it works so well. So that's always an option. You know, there's different things on the market. There's, you know, mixers that you can mix in to make your foundation lighter or darker. You know, again, you can kind of play around with concealers and bronzers. I know Drunk Elephant has a product somewhat kind of similar to this. I can't think the name off the top of my head, but that's kind of like a nice mixer that you can use with it. So there's a few different items on the market here, but once I got this one from Ofra and then paired it with the Cover FX, I was like, yay, now I can wear my Cover FX during the summer as well because the shade match is so much better. So another good combo that I wanted to mention. Next up, I definitely wanted to include my favorite primer in here because this is a primer I've talked about. I've recommended it so much on my channel. I definitely had to include it if I was going to be talking about, you know, really solid primer foundation combinations. So I have the Smashbox Photo Finish Primerizer, and I wanted to pair that with the Estee Lauder Double Wear. So I think that these make a really good combination because the Estee Lauder Double Wear, I think, is a really solid foundation. You get a medium to full coverage with this one, which again isn't always my preference for the summer, but sometimes, especially, this is a great wedding foundation. I wear this one to weddings quite a bit. I like it because you do get a little bit more coverage with it, and it's also incredibly long wearing. When I put this on, it really doesn't move. So I just think that this is such a solid foundation. It gives that natural coverage, but it leans just a little bit more on the dewy side for me. But I really do like to pair it with the Smashbox because this is just a solid primer. It's more of a hydrating primer. It's almost like a hydrating, moisturizing primer at the same time. So I can pair this primer really with anything. I can pair it with a foundation that maybe isn't my favorite, maybe doesn't look the best on my skin. For whatever reason, this primer can still make it look good. But I like to reach for this one with my foundations that I'm like, you know, I'm not trying to prolong the wear of it. I'm not trying to give me some, you know, dewiness. I'm not trying to mattify my skin. I just want a solid primer that's, you know, gonna do a little bit of hydrating for me, that's gonna feel nice and moisturizing, and then I can pair it with a solid foundation, and that is my Smashbox with the Estee Lauder. I think this combo is really nice. I definitely recommend both of these products, but again, I really wanted to be able to include the Smashbox Photo Finish Primerizer in here because it is a favorite primer of mine. I thought I'd be doing it a disservice if I didn't include it, but just a solid primer, fabulous foundation together. They're a great pair. And then lastly, I'm cheating a little bit with this one, but I felt like it seemed right for this video. So I have a primer and concealer combination that I want to mention versus a primer and foundation, but I can kind of wear this concealer as a primer, or I'm sorry, I can wear this concealer as a foundation, and also the primer is just, again, fabulous. I've talked about this one so much that once again, just like with the Smashbox, I thought I would be doing like a disservice if I didn't mention it in this style of video. So we have the Charlotte Tilbury Wonder Glow Instant Soft Focus Beauty Flash with the Too Faced Born This Way concealer. So this product from Charlotte Tilbury, I don't know if you can see on there that I have already used a pretty considerable amount, especially for a primer. This is one of my most used primers for sure. I wanted to especially include this one for my, you know, warm weather topic here, because a lot of times I just wear this on its own. If I'm going to just be going out and, you know, maybe running errands or just meeting a friend for lunch or something like that, I don't need to have on a full face of makeup. I'll just wear a little bit of this. It gives you a really beautiful natural glow to the skin. It almost kind of just like evens everything out, but without really giving you coverage. It's not like a BB cream. It's not like a tinted moisturizer. It's just a really beautiful glowy primer, and I think that it makes the skin look so nice. So again, I can wear this alone and I think that it looks absolutely beautiful. I can wear it under foundations. You know, if I have a more mattifying foundation, could be a nice one to pair with it. But really for this video, I just wanted to say that it looks really nice with concealers as well. So not only can I wear it by itself, but if I wanted to pair it with just with a concealer, I think that's a great option. The Too Faced Born This Way is obviously a favorite concealer of mine. I've talked about this so much, so it shouldn't be a surprise that I'm mentioning it. It's actually the concealer that I do have on today with my First Aid Beauty and Colourpop combination. But I can even just put this primer on and then just go really lightly with the concealer, a little bit on my under eyes, a little bit on the center of my face, or I can go a little bit heavier and almost kind of wear this more as a foundation. Not quite as much as I would do with a regular foundation, but a little bit more than I would for a regular concealer. And again, if I pair it with the Charlotte Tilbury, it's just a beautiful combo. Both look so fantastic on the skin, and I wanted to mention this especially in this video because I think that a primer concealer combo for the summer, again, trying to cut back on the amount of products I have on my face, cutting back on the coverage that I have, it's a really good option. So if you haven't tried it out, you know, maybe try it out and see what you think. You know, we're all different. We all have different preferences, so maybe it won't work for everybody. But if you're like, man, I just really don't feel like putting a foundation on today. I'm going to be outside. I don't want to, you know, get sweaty in my makeup and clog my pores. You know, maybe just try cutting back a little bit and seeing how it is. Maybe a primer by itself, maybe a primer concealer combo. But this is definitely a favorite of mine, and one that I wear quite a bit during the summer months. But after that, that is going to wrap it up for today's video, talking about 5 fantastic warm weather primer foundation combos. I'd love to know what you thought of this video. What are some favorites that you like to wear? And is there anything else that you would like to see kind of along this topic, like foundation concealers or foundation setting powders or something like that? Let me know, because I would love to be able to make more of these if you guys are interested in the topic. But I hope that you found this video helpful or informative in some way. Again, I'd love to know some of your favorite combos down below for the warm weather months. But other than that, that is going to do it for today's video. If you guys did enjoy it, I hope that you'll give it a thumbs up. I hope that you also consider subscribing before you go, and I will see you in tomorrow's video.